In 2012, a fin whale washed up on a beach in St Austell, Cornwall, and later unfortunately died of its injuries. But what exactly caused these injuries? This is all things creepy. Let's begin. So the mainstream theory is that this animal unfortunately accidentally beached itself in shallow water, and of course when you have an animal that big, making contact with the substrate or the shore can cause a lot of damage to internal organs because of the weight you're putting on them. However, an alternative theory that I found on Frontiers of Zoology, which I will provide a link to in the description below, proposes something a little more out there. Now, in the pictures and videos that we see of the St Austell whale, this particular blogger points out that there are a number of scars that seem to form a pattern on the face of the creature. These small puncture marks seem to have an even distance between them and form a line, almost like a bite mark. However, due to the arrangement of these puncture wounds, it can't have been a shark. A shark has a more semicircular bite pattern. This thing had to have had a long snout. The blogger then points to a number of prehistoric creatures in the area, namely Pliosaurus cavani. Fin whales are huge, and this specimen would have been no exception. Fin whales, for example, almost get as large as blue whales, which can grow up to 30 meters. Fin whales a little smaller and more slender. Pliosaurs used to get quite big as well. Of course, now it's globally accepted that they are extinct. However, some of the largest species got to well above 13 meters in length. A creature of those proportions might have been tempted to attack a whale of this size and take a bite out of it. And that is what the blogger suggests here. He even has a diagram. So let's take a closer look at this diagram and see how plausible this hypothesis is. So first off, plesiosaurs supposedly died out more than 65 million years ago. So for them to have survived, they would have had to have left no fossil trace for well over 65 million years, and also not have been sighted by the many people with cameras and film that we have in the modern age. And of course people will suggest the coelacanths, which pretty much did the same thing. However, coelacanths are much smaller than plesiosaurs, and they also live exclusively in deep water. They don't have lungs. A pliosaur is a marine reptile. It would have to breathe air like a dolphin or whale. So it's already extremely unlikely. However, I don't like to rule anything out 100%. So based on the diagram and the positioning of these puncture wounds, for this to have been a bite from a pliosaur, it would have had to almost collided with the whale face on. A face bite like this would be quite rare, especially for a marine predator. Usually you'd want to ambush from below, maybe from behind, attack the extremities of the creature such as fins. This kind of facial attack, we don't really see it except during territorial displays, usually monitor lizards, things like that. When they get territorial, because they're not trying to kill and eat their prey, they will aggressively bite at the face, almost to scare off the opponent. And since we don't really know much about pliosaur behaviour, they were around ages ago and all we have is bones, this could be a possibility, but I find it unlikely. He also suggests that this may be the reason this creature beached itself. It was trying to escape the predator and as a result ended up staying too close to the shore and got stuck. And animals have done this in the past. They're not as intelligent as humans. They can't really weigh up the odds, so if there's a threat, they will do anything they can to avoid that immediate threat, even if it means staying in a trap that presents a more dangerous threat in the long term, whereas a human might hedge their bets and just try to escape. That of course is a decent point. However, an animal of this size, I don't really see why it would be threatened by a creature much smaller. Even though these pliosaurs are big, none of them have been recorded as big as a fin whale. So if anything, it could probably muscle its way out and escape, and it wouldn't have much of a reason to fear that. There are also numerous other reasons why this creature may have beached itself. For instance, these animals are very social. If perhaps its calf died, they can pretty much get depressed, and I could very easily see an intelligent whale beaching itself after losing its calf. As for the puncture wounds themselves, I think they could be due to a propeller. If you imagine a propeller, it spins in a very uniform pattern. and if this creature bumped against that propeller for a short period of time, as the animal moved aside and it got glanced by the blade, it would create this uniform line of punctures. Just taking a look at these puncture marks as well, they don't seem very deep. Surely a predator would latch on and really sink those teeth in. I doubt it would just sort of scratch on it and then release immediately. And if that were the case, it wouldn't be much of a threat, so why would it beach itself? I think it's an interesting theory, and it is still very much a mystery. Of course, we don't have records of the incidents leading up to this beaching, so we'll never 100% know. But I think the most likely cause of these puncture wounds is probably boat propellers. So let me know your thoughts below. Is there anything I've missed or overlooked? Like the video if you did, share it with a friend, and of course, if you haven't already, subscribe for more creepy content.